Hong Kong is applying for a BNO visa and you have other family members to consider. What should you do and when should you do it? Check out this video as Nigel from Paragon Law goes through those details. Nigel, I do want to get over to your good self because there's a couple of questions that has come back on the questions set from earlier. What are the considerations for family members if I move to the UK under a BNO visa? And I think we've answered a couple of those, but are there any other considerations that when you talk about other family members, not just the person who's got the BNO visa?
Sure. Yeah, there's a few issues here I think that's helpful just to touch on. So there's basically three types of people we've got. We've got people who are BNO holders. Then we've got their, what I'll call their direct family members. So that's their spouse or your partner who you live with for 2 years and your direct children under 18 who live with you. Now, the third group are what let's call sort of extended family members. And these are adult dependent relatives who we've talked about, but also children who were born after 1 July 1997 who live in your household. These are a special category of family member, so they can be over 18, and they can also apply with you. The last two categories have to apply with you at the same time. You can also include a partner of the over 18-year-old child in that case. Now, all of these people, if they meet the requirements and come to the UK, they'll have the same rights of residence as the BNO holder. So they will have the right to work without restriction, to study, so they can attend school or university. No restrictions there, other than I think you can't work as a professional sportsman for some reason as the only exclusion. But those are the key things. Now, the other thing, of course, is that a BNO holder might come to the UK and then form a relationship whilst here or get married. Now, they can apply for the spouse or new partner to come into the UK whilst they're here as a BNO holder. That is permissible. Likewise, if you have children whilst you're over here in the UK holding this status, they can be then added to your status. One thing that's interesting to note is that applying for indefinite leave to remain which is a right after 5 years in this category, there are certain family members who can only apply with you. So people have to complete 5 years residence, and then the extended family group need to all apply together with the main BNO holder for indefinite leave. So there are some things to bear in mind for family members when you come over that are not straightforward. And if you're applying for people in the extended categories, then I would get some advice, because there are things like that are very helpful to know, and there are some pitfalls. By and large, if you're coming with your direct nuclear family, then you don't need to be as concerned about the issues, but nevertheless, it's important to understand everything before you come, I think.
Mm. That's really interesting. And one of the attachment to those question sets, and I appreciate next month we'll do a special section on business visas. We're not going to talk about business visas today, but we'll leave that for next month. But there was a couple of ones for the types of visas that someone could apply for, not just BNO. I guess there are other types of visas that people can come over from Hong Kong to UK, and relating to work and family. Let's just focus on those two, leave business ones for next month. Sure.
I mean, the main other category that people will come over here in terms of work is a work permit. And so, if you've got other family members who perhaps don't fit within the BNO structure and want to come over, one option is for them to be offered employment in the UK by an employer who is able to sponsor them. It's not so straightforward. The employer needs to have a license to do that. So it's generally bigger employers. And they also need to, the person would need to fit within an occupation list. So it's not all occupations. There are limitations. The salary has to be at a certain level. So there's a bit of coordinating involved. It may be something that once a family is over here and established in work and other things, that relationships can be formed in order to manage perhaps other extended family or friends coming to the UK using the work permit mechanism. Now, if someone comes in on that in that category, they're limited to working for that employer. That's one of the beauties of the BNO program, is that there's no restrictions on who you can work for. You can change jobs, you can lose jobs, you don't need to work. Coming over on a work permit, you must work for that employer, and if you don't, that's your visa over. So there are some restrictions, but it nevertheless represents a category in which other people can come in on. There are other family categories as well. And for the person that was asking earlier about the adult dependent relatives, once you've acquired indefinite leave to remain in the UK, then you are treated in much the same way as other British nationals. So you can then sponsor relatives to come in, whether that be partners or adult dependent relatives. And so there are a number of other categories there that will open up. They tend to mirror the relationships that the BNO focus on. But nevertheless, you will now move into another category where, your children, if they, for instance, grow up here and they want to marry someone back in Hong Kong, then they will be able to sponsor their partner or their spouse to come and live with them in the UK and settle here. There are rules governing that. There are financial requirements, English language requirements, and so on. But by and large, they are attainable by most people, and they will facilitate for future partners of settled people to come here.
Quick personal take, Paragon Law. I'm on that work visa permit actually at the moment, and Paragon Law have helped me tremendously in that process. It's not simple at all. It looks very simple, but you have to satisfy very strict requirements, and that's when you engage with Paragon to make sure every single bit is crossed off the right way.
And just to add on, Max has said online as well. Thanks, Nigel. Your video is awesome. So there you go, Nigel, just to give you that feedback. Before we go any further, I want to explain that there are many live events that you can register for free. There are 4 events that's showing: HK to UK to help people move from Hong Kong to the UK, the Property Expert Panel. If you're a property investor or property developer, this will be very useful for you. Tax Q&A, if you want to ask proactive tax questions in regards to structures and how to mitigate tax in the future. And finally, UK tax return Q&A, as it says, to deal with questions in relation to your tax returns before you submit it to HMRC. Don't forget that these events are live and will be shown on YouTube the day after. So why not register today, start saving tax tomorrow.